Welcome to Cowboy Shit, hosted by Ted Stoven and myself, Dustin Edwards. Join us as we chat with influential figures shaping the Western world, from artists to athletes. With backgrounds in bull riding, media, and sports commentary, we're not afraid to tackle tough topics while celebrating the essence of cowboy culture. Find our clothing line at cowboyshit.ca and tune in for insightful conversations. Thanks for listening.
Grandpa Wilbur was the first to be saved. He traveled the country playing on the church stage. They passed the hat, that was all he was paid. He was a dying breed long before his day.
Welcome to the show this week for the week of November 13th, 2024. Just wrapped up the PBR Canadian National Finals at Rogers Place. My name is Ted Stoven, and I'm joined by two very special co-hosts this week. My normal co-host is he just got married recently, so he's got a lot of commitments. Currently in Toronto right now. He's at the Hockey Hall of Fame thing the other night. He's been doing he's really sporting it up right now.
Celebrating.
Celebrating.
Living.
So Dustin will be back soon. His wedding photos just dropped. For those wondering, make sure to check out Facebook, the Instagrams.
Already double tapped them.
Very nice. Yeah, we double tapped those. We did that. But this week, very special co-hosts. So to my right, your left, if you're watching on the line right now, he's the current basement dweller, 4620
Yes,
HQ. I think he stole this hat from my closet. Currently residing here at HQ, but from Micanopy, Florida. He's been a two-time guest of the show, right?
Possibly maybe even three.
Maybe three. He's done quite a few shows before, and he's the official entertainer at PBR Canada. Been to PBR Australia. He's worked the PBR World Finals at AT&T Stadium.
Rank.
What else? The PBR's
Double rank.
Unleash the Beast, whatever they call that thing now.
11
The
times,
UTBs.
11 times PBR Canada Finals.
Actually, I think 12. I was looking at this today. You and Brett Gardner have 12. I have 11. You got 12. You got one more than me.
Crazy.
Yeah. So,
Crazy.
from Micanopy, Florida, please welcome Vincent James Harris.
Love living in the basement.
Big basement guy.
Big basement guy.
And he's out of exile, and he owns the 2024 PBR Canada Bull of the Finals. But he's back, and he has been a guest co-host before. We had a really great show we did with Jess Lockwood in Saskatoon a few years ago before he was put into exile.
Yeah, we should get that guy back too.
Right? He'd have a lot of different stories at this point in his life, I think.
PRCAN.
Yeah, he's big rodeo guy now. I don't know what else to say about Mr. James Foley, but welcome back to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Glad to be back.
Man,
in all aspects.
Congrats on the Bull of the Finals.
Yeah, man, it was good.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well deserved for best beard of the finals too.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Superlatives.
Yeah, I didn't get that accolade yet, but I'm glad I was nominated.
It's in the mail. They sent it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're gonna have some more awards next year at the finals, so Beard of the Year will definitely be in contention.
For sure.
Yeah. You won a free supply of beard oil for at least 1 month.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one ticket to the PBR Canada Finals.
For the night of your choice. Probably not Saturday.
Yeah.
Might be already sold out, sorry. But okay, we gotta talk about the finals. That was I think the most successful PBR event maybe ever in Canada.
For sure. No, it was I do believe it said 30% up in ticket sales.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. People were packed in there. They were so high up on the roof, you could barely even see them. I mean, I don't know if had
Maybe just need glasses.
Very, very, very far top like that. It was incredible. Saturday night was insane.
Friday was packed.
Yeah. The entire lower bowl was full Saturday.
Like for a Friday perf, man, it was lit.
And I kind of had more fun on Friday. It was a fun crowd Friday.
Both days I thought were pretty excellent. I thought the Saturday night, of course, it just really laid into its own. Like it just kind of fell into where it was supposed to be. I felt like on Saturday.
Yeah, fair.
But Friday was a little bit more of a party, maybe.
True.
And but I think both days were probably one of the two best days of the PBR Canada that we did. All of our activations were very funny and worked, and all of our pyro worked. We didn't burn any bull riders. We came close one night though. The first night, a bull rider walked off the ramp, had a flame come a little close to his hat.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't miss that part.
yeah, it was awesome.
Jeez.
Hey, was there more oomph in the
They're
bangs?
100%.
There was some.
100%.
Because holy shit.
I don't know
I was
anymore.
standing on Friday. I was standing on the side of the bucket chute, like as the deal's starting off or whatever, and I was like standing with my ears plugged, and this lady had a kid sitting on her lap, and I just like kind of made eye contact with him, and she gave me like one of these, like, and like she thought like I was doing that to tell her to do it to her kid, which in reality I didn't give two flying shits about the kid, right? I'm just protecting my own ears. All of a sudden, just bang, bang, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, yeah, kid's crying. I'm like, oh yeah, who needs it now? But
Shoulda,
it
coulda,
was
woulda.
way louder. Yeah, it was way
Oh,
louder
dear.
this time.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
they added. He said that since it's the finals, they had to add some more stuff. They added bigger
Oh.
flamethrowers, bigger booms, and yeah. So
Yeah, the booms were big.
Splash had to just put it all in just because we're in the big house.
I'm a fan of those the flamethrowers. Those things are so cool.
The fingers.
Fingers.
Yeah, no, they're badass.
Yeah, super neat. But I guess I said that was the most successful ever. But if you count like bull busting though, over like 5 days now, that's a pretty extremely successful event now too. But you can't have the finals in July.
No,
It'd
definitely
be weird.
That bull busting is its own deal.
Yeah.
Bull busting doesn't really count, I don't think.
Okay. Anyways.
How many people each night at Bull Busting?
Well, I think it's like I don't know. I think it's like 2,500.
Yeah, it'd be, I
3,000.
mean, I say around
Maybe more.
3,000 for every single perf, unless it's raining and then they're inside the building still partying. But it'll be 3,000 people.
Have they released like numbers for Edmonton yet?
I don't think
Like
they
how
really
many
do
people-
release some of the
Ticket
numbers
sales?
sometimes.
Oh,
It's very good.
I know they did for Saskatoon the 2 weeks before, and it was bigger than they've ever had too, 6,300 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
62 or
Huge crowd.
6,300.
Saturday was a big crowd.
Yeah, so if the CFR announced 12,000, I think the PBR finals was probably
We'll be right
similar.
there with them.
Yeah, pretty similar.
We're better.
Yeah. We know which show is the best show. Oh, okay. Let's get into some numbers. I gotta talk some numbers quick. Do you want to talk anything else?
Math it up, Ted.
Let's math it up here for a minute. But maybe before we do
Quick
that, we
math.
gotta talk about Piper first, though. Foley, you guys
we can.
co-host today. We gotta talk about the star of the show, Piper.
Yeah, it's been good,
Wins
man.
round one in the bowl.
Wow, what a ride!
Badass bull ride.
That was
that-
a great combo.
That was a badass bull ride. You know what Garrett told me before he got on Eno's bull?
Grand Funk? Oh, nobody?
No, Firehouse. House Fire.
House Fire?
So before Pig got on that bull, he looked at me. He said, "If I win the round, I'm taking Piper. If I don't win the round, I'm still going to try to get Piper."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah, 100%." I said,
Sweet.
"Why wouldn't you?"
Roll on.
And then he bucked off, got a little hang up, and then he come back and rode Piper for like 87 and a half, and that was electric.
I think the judges were a little stingy.
But
All
yeah,
weekend.
the bull scores reflected. I think I don't think we didn't have a single 44-point bull score. I think 43 and a half was the highest that Piper and Ringling Road got. But
It was.
yeah, man, I was super excited.
Yeah.
It was like
Congrats.
it was like extra special for me, honestly. Like it was good to be back. That was my first PBR Canada finals since 2018.
Oh wow.
So-
5.5 years off, essentially?
Yeah.
Damn.
Just growing that bull stock, old son. I like it though.
Damn.
Come
man,
back, come back and show out.
I had a little time to reflect and work on my own program. And honestly, you know, I think everything happens for a reason in the whole big picture of what where and when I wasn't there. And I've been working on my breeding program. You know what I mean? I got a great team, a great family that helps me do it. And yeah, Piper's just one of the end results of a lot of hard work. So I'm happy that he's getting his time to show too. That calf's been really good for me. I sent him down south during COVID. KBRC had him, and then I brought him back home, and he's been pretty good. So, and the guys all like getting on.
Who's he out of?
He's out of Buck Nasty is his dad.
Oh, I heard
Um,
it.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
his mom is actually a cow I got from Darren Eno.
Oh, interesting. Right on.
So yeah,
And how old is he?
6.
Oh, just a 6-year-old. Just a youngster still.
still a youngster. So hopefully he can stay on the tour and get a little, hopefully maybe even get into run for a bull of the year. I think that'd be pretty special.
Do you want to talk about being in exile? Anything about that, or should we just move on?
Like what? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. You were just on the outside for a while. Just it's we missed you.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
bulls were just maybe a little too hard. Maybe that's why he just had to step out, back it down a little bit.
Sometimes you get put in the outside in the penalty box for a bit, and I stayed there, and you know what I mean. It's one of those things where sometimes you got to be careful what you say, and
Heard of it.
and yeah, and then you know what I mean. I had to work my way back, and you know Dakota Butter first and foremost, like Jim Thompson and Darren Eno, guys that invited me to their events. You know, they kept me doing what I was able to do, keep my breeding program going, and be able to showcase those animals. And I just had to work a little bit harder and make sure my animals were maybe at that step up. Dakota Butter invites me to Kindersley, and I go there, and the rest is history. You know, I brought a good set of calves there, I thought, and Piper obviously impressed Jason, and he wanted to see him again, like I said, in Saskatoon, and then Crimber got on him, which, like, if I could have drawn a picture to make it like, you know, I mean, it's John Crimber, the kids, absolute electric, right? And let's be honest, if you get, sometimes I feel like you get maybe a little better bonus points or a quarter point if a good rider's on them.
Maybe,
for sure,
maybe,
you know what
probably,
I mean?
Definitely,
100%. So you know what I mean, that helped obviously showcase Piper. They were 89.5 or 89 or whatever he was on him. And then I got him to get to buck on Friday at the final. So you know what I mean, hopefully I can stay in there and my animals are good enough to keep me up there. I feel like we got a pretty decent breeding program, some really good calves coming up, so I'm excited, man.
well, we're glad you're back. Missed you.
Yeah.
Missed you, friend.
It was good. Like, man, the PBR Canada finals for myself and my family, we enjoyed the shit out of it. It was a good time. It was awesome just seeing everybody and being at that high level.
For sure. Yeah, no, you were around for quite a bit back in the day when I first started coming around there, and it was good to hang out with you at some of those smaller deals out in Lloyd and everything like that. And then all of a sudden I was up here at the big ones and you weren't here and missing you. And so, so really glad to be back and bringing the heat for sure. Yeah,
man, it's good.
What else kind of bulls you maybe got on the go here that you're thinking that some some sleepers maybe?
So I got a couple really good 4-year-olds coming up. I took one to Saskatoon. He just didn't get to show. That calf had a horrible, he had to deal with his feet that I had him kind of out for 6-7 weeks, just trying to fix his feet. He had an abscess come out through the top. So, I had him, and then, I got like a bang up group of young calves coming. Like we've been doing really good in ABBI Canada and in the ABBI events, all with calves out of our own program. And I'll tell you one thing about the bull business is, like, when you have success with, like, let's say like a bull that you bought, people always are like, yeah, man, good bull. And then, like, but imagine if you raise that, like, it'll be, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be way better if you raised it. And now that I got like calves that are like winning and doing good, that we've raised their mom, raised their dad. I got a 900 bull called Boogie. I had him in Saskatoon. Colton Fertzlin rode him for like 84.5. That calf, he's only been bucked at events 3 times. Wow. Hopefully I'm going to be able to buck him in Lloyd. I think he's like outstanding. I just need to get him used to it. He was in Edmonton. I brought him both days with Piper as a buddy bull. So just want to give him
a 5-year-old.
Yeah. He's the daddy to all the real good calves I got coming up. He's probably the most electric calf I've ever bucked. So, I just want to, next year I want to get him on the trail and get him showcased, and the guys are going to love getting on him. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. We're glad you're back. Thanks for coming to do the show.
Glad I'm back. Glad I'm part of it again.
Welcome.
You know what I mean? Karate chopping.
Let's get to the interview this week. We'll come back and bullshit some more. I got some stats to run by. We'll do the math later. But I did some number crunching before the show here, and added up kind of what money was paid out in the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association, the PBR Canada, just kind of did some comps and stuff, and did a money list based on both associations. Some interesting stuff. I think you might find
Great comparison.
I think you might enjoy it, folks. But anyways, we got
Comparables.
got a good show this week with Vincent Neil Emerson. Dustin and I chatted with him last week before the PBR Canada Finals. So thanks for joining us, everybody, this week. Once again, guest co-host Vincent Harris and James Foley. We'll be back in a bit.
Well, there ain't a bar left in this town that'll serve me up and let me hang around. I wore out my welcome long ago. Know what I'm gonna do, nobody knows. I've been acting like a fool, but everybody knows it ain't nothing new. Lord, I think I'm going down. I'm just a rodeo clown. I'm just a rodeo clown.
Well, you woke up in Kansas, and I don't actually know where he is now, but I got to thank my friend Garrett McKee from the Hippies and Cowboys podcast for lining this one up. He's this guy's tour manager, and man, I can't believe he lined this up to get this guy on the show. But please welcome Vincent Neil Emerson to the Cowboy Ship podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
So
Appreciate
you were
it.
telling us a minute ago, where were you going to and from today? You guys had a heck of a drive.
We are, we finished up a run with a band called City and Color. We were last place we played was in Kansas. I think it was Lawrence, Kansas, and we're on our way to Birmingham, Alabama. So we're kind of halfway somewhere. I don't know where we're at exactly, but we're halfway to Alabama. We'll be there tomorrow.
Damn. Okay, I gotta say too. So listening to your sound, and like I think one of my favorites so far, Roadrunner. Also like a song that you have with Coulter Wall, but like, how the heck does a guy that sings old timey country and western music with a steel guitar end up on a tour with City and Color? That seems like a little bit of a juxtaposition, as some might say.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You would think so, but I think to me, genre doesn't really matter so much. I like a lot of different things, man, and I think Dallas Green, he's he's the guy of City and Color. He's into all kinds of stuff, and he likes country and singer-songwriter stuff. I consider myself more, a singer-songwriter first. So yeah, they're good dudes, beauties.
I was gonna say, what's been some of the highlights of being able to play with a band like that and a frontman like Dallas Green?
It's really just the hangs, man. I mean, the crowd's great, and it's nice to play those venues, but just hanging out with good people is I mean, hell, I don't. The last time I had that good of a time on tour with someone was with Coulter Wall. That's my buddy though. But yeah, man, it's just we make music because we want to have a good time, so it worked out.
I was just curious if there was any real one particular cool story from the recent road trip, or I mean, I guess you're still on the road. So is there anything over the last little bit that's really stuck out when you talk about the good times you're having, or maybe does it got to stay off it was too good of a time, it's got to stay off the public channels?
I'm trying to think if there was something that really stuck out, but I mean, it was we just had a good time, man. I don't remember one particular thing.
So Vincent, talk about first things first is this new song coming out November 8th. Talk about Rodeo Clown. Garrett said I could use it for every Rodeo Clown intro for the rest of my life now. It's like pretty ideal.
There you go. Yeah, man, it's just a goofy song I wrote and produced by a guy named Pat Lyons, who actually plays in Coulter Wall's band, and he's produced some of Nolan Hoffman's stuff and most of Coulter's stuff. So it's out November 8th, I think, is the release date for that one.
Yeah.
So pretty soon, here in a couple of days.
I think Garrett said you got a whole record coming in the spring. Is that right?
I hope so. Yeah, we hope it'll come out in the spring. We did just get done with a record in the studio not too long ago, so we're
awesome.
sitting on like 12, 13, 14 songs that nobody heard yet.
I'm curious, when you're sitting on the road like this, and you got a whole bunch of songs kind of in the bank like you talked about, Do you worry less about writing new stuff, or you just always writing when you're on the road and you're inspired and doing fun stuff?
I kind of take a break from writing for at least a little while because I'm more of a procrastinator than anything else. Sometimes I'll wait until, things will hit you a couple weeks before you go in the studio and you're supposed to make an album. But maybe I should get a head start on this next one and start writing now. That's a good idea.
I always like to ask when we have, songwriters on or artists on, where do you draw your inspiration from? Is it what's happening in your life? What's happening around you? Are you sad when you write a sad song? Are you in a certain area when you're writing other songs? Like what kind of drives you when you're writing?
Man, I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of old music, and as far as like what I want something to sound like, I'm really influenced by whatever I'm taking in at the moment. So I think that's what jumps out to me first. I pick up a guitar and start to like, try to come up with something. And I know that's what's driving me is the stuff I've been listening to lately. And as far as the content of the lyrics, I don't know how it happens sometimes because it just random things will hit you and you'll get an idea. So, but a lot of it's, a lot of my songs I got some really sad songs, some really, goofy songs like Fried Chicken, Evil Women, stuff like that. But and I'm a big John Prine fan too, and I think early on I really believe that it was important to mix humor in with all the good, the bad and the ugly. So, well, these days, I'm just writing about my life and then things that I've seen and people that I love and care about.
So you mentioned John Prine. What's your favorite John Prine song? And are there any that make it to the live show for for those that maybe haven't seen your live show yet?
Man, I used to play Angel from Montgomery almost every show. Uh and I didn't want to wear it out, so I put it in my back pocket for now. But I used to play that one a lot. And I used to play Hello in there and what else? The Fish and Whistle. I mean, if you put all of John Prine's songs on a dartboard and threw a dart at it, any one of them is my favorite John Prine song.
What's your favorite version of Angel from Montgomery, though? Because I gotta say, one of my favorites is Bonnie Raitt with John Prine. But there's a few different versions of that. But I wonder, who do you think performs it best?
I like Bonnie Raitt's version a lot, but I think my favorite version of it is John Prine doing it. I think he's like sitting in a boat. It's like you find the clip on YouTube. Maybe he's like wearing a pair of aviator shades, sitting in a boat. That's my favorite version.
You were talking about your inspiration on writing, on what you're kind of listening to at the time. So if we were to hop onto your, what you're listening to right now, what's buzzing on your favorite playlist right now?
Um, Man, I'm ashamed to admit it. A lot of my music nerd friends will probably give me hell, but I just figured out who Bobby Charles is. Bobby Charles is a guy from Louisiana. He wrote that song "See You Later, Alligator" after Wild Crocodile. It's old like 50s, 60s song. But he's got a great album. I think it's a self-titled album, but it's like guys from the band that are playing on it. It's just so good. I've been into Neil Young for a while now, and I listen to newer stuff. I listen to Coulter stuff all the time still, and draw inspiration from that. And
I
Nolene
feel
Hoffman too is pretty damn good.
I was gonna say, I feel like you've got this like Canadian connection right now because you've talked about Nolene, who's been on the show, Coulter's been on the show, Neil Young. What is it about these Canadian artists, or is it just by chance?
And City and Color too. They're all Canadians.
Yeah, yeah,
It's crazy,
totally.
man. I don't know. I think the Chisholm Trail runs from Canada all the way down to Fort Worth, Texas. So maybe I think for the Western people in Canada, there's a strong cultural connection, whether people know that or not. But uh, I've just been real lucky, man, to meet a lot of good folks, and a lot of them happen to be Canadian.
Just like
And
Garrett
you've
that hooked
been,
the show up too.
yeah, totally, right?
Yeah, my TM's Canadian. There you go.
You're like an honorary Canadian. Um, but let's talk about, kind of growing up, uh, and what inspired you to kind of become a musician and a songwriter, and what that kind of musical journey was like for you. We love to find out, how it all began.
I've been trying to come up with a good answer for this question since I started doing interviews, man. It's like I don't really know. I just kind of fell into doing music for a living. I was like, I was 19 years old and I just had a guitar and a handful of songs and would do open mics and stuff. And I had some buddies who were getting shows around town and they helped me out and I somehow fell into it as a career. But as far as like what really inspired me to start writing and playing, it's just the love of songs. I found Towns Van Zant somewhere on YouTube when I was, searching around, and it was game over from there, man. I just was just such a big fan of that. The whole idea of being a singer-songwriter was just so cool to me, and the idea of crafting something.
So did it matter where you were geographically? Like I believe, if, and I hope I got this right, like you're a Texas boy, is that right? Is that where you were doing all your playing when you started?
Yeah, yeah, I'm from Texas. I'm from East Texas originally, and then I moved to Fort Worth. Um and around the time I was like 18, probably 19. And that's where I got a lot of my first shows was in Fort Worth and Dallas.
Does it matter where artists are honing their craft, or do you have to be in a certain area, to find success, or can you find success in the music industry, or like what you're doing from anywhere?
It seems like a lot of people worry about that, about where they're at and if it makes a difference. I know a lot of folks will move to Nashville or Austin or wherever, but Fort Worth there is some stuff happening there, but it's not like Nashville or Austin. So I somehow made a career there. So I think if you can make it, in your hometown, you can make it anywhere, really.
Or in the case that we were talking about, like a Coulter, Nolene, they're coming from small little towns in Canada and seeming to find success. I know you toured with Coulter. You guys are obviously friends. Have you had a chance to play or tour with Nolene at all in that mix as well?
With Nolene, we did one. I think we'd done one show together, but I can't remember where it was. I think, but I met her for the first time. We were on a festival with Coulter and a bunch of other artists, but I don't think I've done a show with Nolene yet. But we've hung out before, and she's such a good person, man.
I want to talk about Vincent. I want to talk about a couple things that was mentioned with Garrett, but I got to talk about the time when you worked on the ranch east of Dallas. You said you ended up writing a couple songs during that period too. What's the story on the ranch? What were you doing there? What's the story?
I was kind of a long one, but I was going through divorce at the time with my first wife, and I didn't really have anywhere to live, and I was kind of bouncing around looking for an apartment or something, and I got a good buddy named Evan Tate, who owns a farm slash ranch. It's called Tate Farms, and I'd always wanted to try to try my hand at doing some cowboy work, and he was kind enough to take me in and try to teach me a little bit about that. And but I lived on his ranch for about 3 months and tried my best.
Talk about some of the inspiration though, and where some of those songs started at the like been staying on the ranch kind of thing. Curious about that.
There's a song called "I'll Meet You in Montana." I think I wrote that one while I was staying on his ranch. It's kind of like a love song, chasing a girl, that doesn't want you in the end, really. Well, that's how it ended up for me anyway. But and there's some other ones I can't remember. But I was so busy there, I really didn't get a chance to write much. That's like the only one I came out with. I was too
Well,
busy sorting screws in the shop, and doing random shit.
I was gonna say, what was the worst job that you got stuck with when you were spending time on the ranch?
Um, well, I never really drove a tractor before, and he had me raking hay, and there was a bunch of bales out in the field, and I was so scared I was going to wreck this equipment. I didn't want to foul anything up, so the first time I drove the tractor and was raking hay was pretty scary. But you know, I grew up around ranches and and horses and stuff when I was a kid. But it's one thing to just see it and then know people that do it versus actually try to do it yourself.
What about your connection with Willie Nelson? What's the story on that?
Man, I wrote the song Willie Nelson's Wall. Uh, is definitely an homage to Willie. But I've just been a big fan of his music for a long time, and there's a festival that he holds on his ranch that they hold on his ranch. It's called Luck Reunion, and being around the Fort Worth and Dallas and Austin music scene, a lot of the artists, a lot of those guys are they're in with that. So when I started getting a little more success, they took notice and asked me to play Luck, and then I was fortunate enough. It was COVID time; everything was locked down, but I got to play Willie's Fourth of July picnic, and that was really cool. And then when things opened back up, they asked me to play his birthday party, which was pretty insane, man. All these really famous people like Sheryl Crow and Steve Earle and Ray Wiley Hubbard. We were all in Margot Price, so just kind of sharing the same trailer, hanging out.
That's a wild intro to that little crew.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. They're all good folks, I've been so lucky to meet so many good people, man, and my heroes and stuff like that. I got to sing with Willie on stage
No way.
that day.
What
Pretty
song?
damn cool. I think we were singing "I Saw the Light," maybe, or
Oh, no way.
"Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" Maybe I can't remember which one.
Oh, wow. Okay, so tell me, I'm reading up on some things here, doing research for the show beforehand, and I read in this bio that you spent time as a busker and living in a car and you were raised by a single mother, but I mean it's close to me because it happened to my friend, but like my friend Ty Posabon took his own life early on, but this was the same fate with your dad. What was your upbringing like, and how much did that contribute to where you're at now, and just how's your mental health, Vincent? How are things that way? Like it can't be easy living on the road like this, like not even knowing where you are sometimes, being on the run, but like it's
Yeah,
been quite the run for you.
yeah, it has been. It's a lot of musicians have a hard time with touring and trying to maintain your mental health and just a general positive outlook on life. It's kind of tough sometimes. We're stuck in hotel rooms and it's artificial light, and we don't really get to go outside very much, it seems. But I'm doing good, man. I've been so fortunate lately. Everything is kind of going my way, so it's kind of hard to be depressed about anything. But sometimes I find a way. But my father, I lost my father to suicide when I was 9, and was raised by a single mother, a single mother of 3, and yeah, that shaped my outlook on the world for sure. But it's one of those. I know it's kind of corny to say, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's true. We're still here. We're still doing it.
What is it like to look back on some of those years when you didn't have a home and look where you're at now?
It's crazy, man. It kind of makes my eyes well up a little bit sometimes when I think about going from sleeping in my car and trying to get shows and playing a burger joint for $50 to playing singing on stage with Willie Nelson. It's a crazy feeling.
So
That's a
what?
pretty wild journey.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
So I gotta ask. So two parts. So where was your mind at when you were in that point and playing for $50, or busking and hopefully getting something, but sometimes probably not getting a lot, to where to where what was the big break like, or are you still experiencing it right now?
Well, I think my big break was when I finally started making $100 a show and getting a burger on the side, for free. But man, early on, I come from, I don't come from money. My mom worked really hard, and my whole family is, my uncle, he works in the oil field, and all my cousins are electricians in the oil field, and truck drivers and stuff like that, all working people. So I've always just been grateful for every step and every point. When I got to that point where I could get shows, even local shows, and go play these little dance halls and stuff, I felt really happy and satisfied and grateful for where I was. So everything that happened after that, it's just every day, it's just unbelievable.
Vincent, you have a very humble demeanor about you, and and for us, getting to chat with you has been awesome. But if people haven't heard your music yet, they're just finding out your story. For maybe a lot of our Canadian fans up here, when they go into iTunes and they search Vincent Neil Emerson and they come across your music, how do you want people to feel when they listen to your music? Is there a message that you like to kind of put out to people, or a way you want people to feel when they hear your songs?
Oh, it's choose your own adventure. I think I got so many different kinds of songs that if you want to sit down and cry and have a bottle of whiskey to yourself, you can do that with my self-titled album. There's a lot of sad songs, but I got other tunes that's like the fried chicken, that first record I made, and some of the new stuff that I'm about to come out with. I think it's a little more lighthearted, and I just want people to get something out of what I'm writing and connect with it. I think that's pretty a general goal for most artists. Well, some people are more worried about money or fame, but when I go play a show, man, I would love for people to really be into it and connect with us and the band and feel something, man. You know?
Well, talk about what you're feeling and what you're thinking on the song Rodeo Clown, and what do you want people to think about for that one?
This is definitely a party song. It's it's just kind of borrowing heavily from Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings as far as the sound goes, but it's a song about we're kind of making fun of a certain kind of person, just that asshole who talks too loud and drinks too much at a bar and just kind of ruins it for everyone else. But at the same time, people can dance to it, so that's
I
what
think
they can take away from it, I think.
I think I have a couple of those friends.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say this song is gonna resonate with all of us up here.
Yeah, there you go.
What is some of the goals for you? I mean, it's been amazing to hear the journey, and you talk about how it just kind of happened, and you kind of do what you need to do. But what are some of the goals, maybe short term, long term, for you, from a career standpoint?
Um, I don't really have any like aspirations or anything like that or huge goals. I think maybe I like to we travel around in a van right now. I'd like to get in a tour bus sometime soon just to make it more comfortable for the guys in my band, but a little bit more money in their pocket might be a better thing too. But man, I'm really happy with what I have in life right now. So my goal is just to keep trying to write better songs and get the most out of out of what we're doing and try to have the best time we possibly can.
Well, I think that's what it's all about, is enjoying what you're doing, and having fun on the road. Is there uh, is there any artists that you want to write with, or is there anybody that's kind of on that bucket list that you can work with, or maybe go on tour with, that you haven't been able to yet?
I just met Ryan Bingham for the first time the other day, and I've liked his music for a long time, and he had me out and play his down in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena, and we played his Great Western. It's kind of like this all day show, sort of like a festival. But I'd like to do some shows with Ryan Bingham and do some writing with him. I don't know if you ever seen that movie Crazy Heart, but he wrote some of those songs for that soundtrack, that Jeff Bridges movie. And it's just, I think he's a great writer. And obviously, I would like to do some more stuff with Coulter. We collaborated on a few things, but That'd be really cool, man. And maybe Willie Nelson would be nice to tour with someday too. Yeah.
And speaking about the tour, you got a show for those, this is a show that's in the rodeo world, but you got a show in Vegas at Dolby Live on December 8th, it looks like. And that's going to be with Coulter as well and Kate Hoffman. So that looks like a heck of a show guy might want to be around for. But talk about that tour you got coming up here in the fall. You got quite a few dates there and all before Christmas.
Yeah, it's I think we're doing some stuff with we're doing a lot of stuff with Culture here. I think it's well, I got most of November off, but December we do that Vegas show with Culture, and then we're doing Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Cherokee, North Carolina, Alabama, a couple shows in Alabama, New Orleans, which ought to be a fun one, and Shreveport, and then I think the
Close to
last one
home.
might be in yeah, and the last one on that one's like Grand Prairie, Texas, and then
Not
the
Grand
my
Prairie,
very last
Alberta.
show of the yeah, not Grand Prairie, Alberta, Texas. Our last show of the year is we got a big one. It's playing in Petco Park in San Diego with Post Malone, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, dang. When is that one?
I think it's on December 30th. Yeah, December 30th.
No way. You haven't met him yet, I would imagine.
I have actually. Me and Garrett we played me and the boys band we played Stagecoach, this festival out in
Yeah.
California near the Agua Caliente reservation. Uh and he invited us backstage to come hang with him. He's actually a good dude.
Yeah.
He's one of the sweetest guys I've met actually.
Was that before his like kind of that country set that night? I was there. I was there actually that day at that show and heard his whole like his kind of debut was kind of stagecoach that night for the whole country kind of album.
Yeah, yeah, it was before he went on. We were hanging back with him and playing beer pong.
No shit.
Dwight Yoakam walked by at one point and I shook his hand.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That was a
No,
hell
it's
of a
great.
that was a hell of a night. Well, because you guys didn't you guys play that day like earlier in the day on the same stage or somewhere in there close by? Garrett was telling me about it. I never got caught up with him down there, but you guys
We
played
played,
earlier that day, didn't you?
yeah, we did. We played the same stage as Dwight Yoakam, but earlier on in the day, and then
Yeah.
yeah, later on, Post Malone played the main big stage, I guess.
Yeah. Dang. That's neat. What are your thoughts on that whole mashup of everything that he's done this year? I thought it's gone over quite well, and I think he did it quite authentically, and did it with a lot of great partnerships.
Yeah, I know some people are, as country music fans, I think a lot of people are very protective of the genre, and everyone wants to save country music, and I get that, but I think the guy is. I was a fan of some of his stuff that he did, and I've seen interviews with him, and he seemed like such a good, genuine dude. And he's a Texan too, so he had my vote from the get go. So, but I think to me, it just seems like he's just some dude who likes music, and he's just kind of following his own journey, and he likes country music, and he wants to pursue that. And it's cool, man. I think artists like him are doing stuff like this. I think it's really it's good for the rest of us because kids are getting into country music, and now it's cool, man.
Talking about fellow artists, I was reading your bio. There was some mention of Charlie Crockett in there as well, and he just played up here. I don't know how long ago that was.
Back in
Ted,
the
we
spring
went to
with
the
Nolene.
show. Yeah, we went and watched with Nolene, and I really kind of grew a fan of him. But it sounds like somebody that you've worked around a bit as well.
Yeah, I've known Charlie since I started playing shows. Really, I was doing it for a couple of years around Fort Worth, and then when I started to come around Dallas, I think he had just come back into town from like New York City or New Orleans or somewhere, and he was starting to get make his mark on the music scene around there. But I've known him for a long time, yeah, and I'm proud of him. Everything he's doing, man, it's pretty cool.
Before we wrap up here, I gotta ask. You mentioned a couple different things earlier. You just kind of mentioned a couple of the different bands or the different kind of reservation spots that you'd been by, but your background goes back to the Choctaw Apache side of things. Talk about that side of things too, Vincent.
Yeah, so my mom's family is from Louisiana, a small town called Converse, and uh, I'm an enrolled member of the Choctaw Apache tribe of Ebar, Louisiana, which is that's that's our tribal ground, our tribal land. So growing up in East Texas, kind of we would go back home and go to powwows and stuff like that, and my grandmother would pass down a lot of knowledge to me about everything like that. My uncle too, and my aunties. But there's not a lot of Indians in country music. It seems like on what we're doing these days. So I try to incorporate that within my writing and how I carry myself in the world these days.
I'm just trying to think of who else would be indigenous that would be in the country music scene. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. I don't know who else would be.
Well, there's a lot of them, man. But there's as far as like who's at the front of like what's the most popular. There's not a lot, if any. So it's something that I think people should keep a lookout for. There's a guy named Blaine Bailey who's amazing. He's from Cherokee County in Oklahoma, and there's she's not country, but she's in the singer songwriter realm. Is a woman named Ken Pomeroy who's really great. And I mean, I could rattle off a million, or not a million, but I could rattle off a lot to you right now. But it's something I'd like to see change in country music. That'd be cool.
You mentioned John Prine early on, and I think it was Blake. Did you say Blake Charles? What was the name?
Bobby Charles.
Bobby Charles. So what I remember, so Core Blund is a friend of mine. He's been on this show a number of times, but he introduced me to Don Edwards and a bunch of stuff that Don Edwards wrote. I gotta ask you how he might be kind of somebody that's an influenced too. But maybe I'm going off on a tangent there.
I'm a big Don Williams fan.
Oh yeah,
I'm
same
not.
here.
I'm not sure if I've listened to much of Don Edwards though, admittedly. But I'm
That's
still
fair.
finding new stuff all the time. As as much as I'd like to sit back and pretend like I know everything about all the great music in the world, which is good for me because if I knew everything, I wouldn't be excited to find something new.
Yeah.
So I'll give Don Edwards a spin.
Well,
I
there's
think
one
that's
that
the best part about music.
yeah, there's one that Core brought up that he has been playing at some shows that's really neat. It's called Coyotes. That one's really neat. But when you go and look at the Don Edwards stuff, I think you'll be really impressed at all the different songs he wrote. There's a ton of stuff that you'll recognize that he wrote.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that Coyote song, Coyotes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Songs of the Trail, yeah, Cattle Call. He did a lot of he did a lot of the old ones then, yeah.
Yeah.
That looks like some cool stuff, man.
Yeah, I think
Uh
that he's not doesn't sound like John Prime, but he just made me think when you got talking about some of the folks that are maybe a little bit less in the forefront, because Core brought up to me and I was like, I don't know who the heck Don Edwards is. I have no idea. Then he started showing me some of the stuff and I
yeah,
was like, oh, this is really cool stuff.
that is cool. And it looks like he does a lot of cowboy songs too, like, Diamond Joe and
Yeah.
yeah, and he's got some other that's cool, man. Down on the Brazos. I love cowboy songs and stuff like that. I've never really written about it because I try to stick to what I know and I'm not a
Okay.
cowboy, so
Sure,
but I
we'll
love
hear
a
a
lot of that
song
stuff.
someday about raking hay or something, hey? And
Yeah, maybe I'll write a song about my me being a really bad hand on the Tate Farms ranch.
so
We
so if you write about it, you've lived it. So fried chicken and evil women, you've lived, so you can write about it, right?
That's true, yeah. Well, there's some things that you don't touch. I mean, like even with this song, I got it called Rodeo Clown. I didn't want to make, make a joke out of anything those boys are doing because those some of the toughest guys I've ever met. Rodeo clowns are, they're crazy as hell and they're tough as nails. So, but it's all in good fun.
Uh, okay, so question, do you want to discuss some of the greatest cowboy songs ever? Or should we not get into that? I don't know if we
Yeah,
should.
that's a question for Coulter Wall. I think he's the
That's a
expert on
Coulter.
that.
Okay.
But I mean, my favorite ones. Uh, there's one. It's like uh, I can't remember the name of it. It's like kind of sounds like Strawberry Roan. It's like some old record that I found. But there's Alan Lomax. Uh, this guy who kind of gathered up folk songs. He put together this compilation of all these old cowboy songs and put it on a record. If you could find that, I think it's on Apple Music and stuff like that. But that's really good stuff.
What else we got to cover here?
Nothing crazy. It's been great to talk about what's coming up and kind of a little and learn some more about you, Vincent. I mean, for us, we're like you. We love discovering new artists and chatting about music on the podcast, and it's cool that we've got some connections, with some of our guests on the show and you. And now I'm going to be like you. I'm going to get a chance to totally dive into your playlist a little more than I have this past week and listen to some more new tunes and hear what you got coming out in the future. Excited to hear it. And yeah, excited to see what you continue to do.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and talking to me, having me on your podcast. It means a lot to me.
We appreciate you taking the time and doing this, Vincent. Thanks for the visit. Tell me one more thing before you go though. We ask every guest what their definition of cowboy shit is.
Uh, I found out the hard way that cowboy shit is not always, you know, roping cattle and riding horses. Sometimes it's sorting screws in a shop, or maybe it's going and spraying mesquite. Cowboy shit. I'm not qualified to define cowboy shit, but I'll stand on the sidelines and tip my hat to everyone that is a cowboy.
Well, one thing that Garrett mentioned too is that, for the rodeo cowboys, some of the rodeo cowboy shit is traveling down the road and being in a different hotel every day, or maybe not being in a hotel, sleeping in your car for a night or wherever you might be. But that's a bit of a parallel, I would say, for what you're doing on the music side of things. You guys are on the road a ton, away from family and friends, and not really very rooted at times. You're rooted on your on your tour van instead of being in
Yeah,
different hotels.
sounds mighty familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we share the road with truck drivers as well. My grandfather was a truck driver, and I've got another song called Big Wheels. It's kind of like it's the A side, B side for this rodeo clown thing we're doing. So I think we all have that in common. That's for sure, man. And it takes a certain kind of person to. There's not that many of us. There's not that many cowboys in the world, and there's not that many people who live the life that we live as musicians and touring artists, songwriters. So
Well, and you
we're
got to tell
kindred,
me,
I guess. Yeah.
would you tell me the story about having Garrett bringing him on as your tour manager? Like, how did that happen? How did you get that Canadian guy on your crew? How did that happen? Was that through Coulter as well, or what was the intro?
I'd met Garrett doing his podcast, the Hippies and Cowboys podcast,
Oh.
and he spoke to my manager, who was Coulter Wall's tour manager at the time. Now he manages Coulter and myself, and runs the La Honda Records along with Connie Collingsworth. But I think we all just liked Garrett a whole lot. He's a good dude. This is something I picked up from the City and Color crew. He's a beauty.
That sounds very
He really
Canadian.
is. He's a beautician.
That's amazing.
He really is. He's a friggin' beauty, bud. But
Outstanding.
yeah, I'm glad we have him on the road with us. He's a good dude. So
Well, I'll be in Vegas in December. I'm coming to meet you, coming to see your show with Coulter and the crew. I'm gonna come see you guys.
yeah, come hang out and have a beer with us, man.
I will for sure. I look forward to it. Thanks again for taking the time. Dustin, you got anything else?
No, it's been great chatting with you. And yeah, hopefully get a chance to see you live one day. It'll be fun.
Yeah, man. Come hang out anytime.
All right, you can find Vincent Neil Emerson wherever you get your music. Make sure to check him out on Spotify, buy his records, make sure to go to the website, buy his merch, support this guy, and go see a live show too. So thanks, Vincent. We appreciate you taking the time today.
Appreciate you, boys. Thank you for having me on.
Cheers.
Well, I'm high as a fly on Willie Nelson's wall, and I can't remember where I am at all, and I don't know where my mind has taken me, with my boots in my hand and my hat on my feet. Somebody drive me home. Well, I don't know if I should be left alone, and if my girlfriend calls, well, tell her I'm just a fly on the wall.
And we're back.
Now time to slice some numbers down.
For sure.
Once again on the second half of the show here with Brinson James and James Foley.
I like that.
My brother's name is James also, but I'm William.
A bunch of Jameses rolling
William.
around.
Do you ever go by Billy?
No, not really.
You
I
don't-
got a lot of nicknames though, Foley. Got a lot. Got a ton of nicknames.
Yeah.
Well, that's the time for another. We'll say that for another show. Okay, I gotta get some numbers here. I've been cruising on spreadsheets.
Been using that spreadsheet out.
I'm kind of a spreadsheet guy. So, fun stuff. So what we're doing is breaking down Canadian Pro Rodeo standings versus PBR Canada standings. So I ran a few numbers and I stole some stuff off the Canadian Pro Rodeo website, the PBR Canada website. So if you look at the top 30, rodeocanada.com, I did a quick sum. The top 30 guys in the CPA, the average earnings was $22,992, and the total paid out was $689,774 for the top 30. Then I went to PBR Canada, top 30. Obviously, a little bit of a different story, but average is 30,404. Some was 912,000. So what? How much difference is that? About 6 to 9.
Two some.
Yeah, 220,000 kind of
30?
thing.
230.
230, yeah. So top of the list though, just for comparison. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys made over 50,000 in the CPRA. In PBR Canada, it was 3. So a little more top heavy. So Nick Tetz won 249. He won 153,000 just in Edmonton at Rogers at the PBR finals. Cody Coverchuk won 91,000 on the year just in PBR Canada, and he had like 89 going in, so he didn't make very much at the finals. The only other guy to make more than 50,000 was Callum Miller. Then we had Coy Robbins was 4th on the season, won 48,000, and Ashton Solly won 46,000 on the year. So a little more consistent, but once you leave number 5, Grady Young at 52,000, Jared Parsons was next at 42, but he didn't even get to compete at the CFR. He would have been damn near season leader if he wasn't season leader going in. I think Jake Gardner was first going in, but
What did 30th make in each?
so 30th in CPRA was $4,600, and 30th in the PBR Canada was $3,100. But the weird thing with PBR Canada with the points is there's an Aussie guy here, Donnie Rutherford, that was 31st and won 7,800. So the money's a little bit different. It goes by points instead of money in PBR side of things. So, anyways, just some interesting numbers. But then, so if I go back to the CPRA, if I don't have all the data, and I don't know how much more money's in there. But they're based on standings. So they're the guys that were 30th to however much further down. I don't know what the numbers were, but they're going to top out at 689. So maybe say another 20, 30,000 in the guys from 30th to 50th.
Yeah,
maybe.
not much.
Probably
That's
not
fair.
very much. Let's just do it comparatively. So we got 973 all the way with the PBR Canada down to 57 lines of money added up. So let's just take the PBR guys from 30th down, and it's another 60,000. So we can just count them kind of where they were. Say PBR for the season is 973, so damn near $1 million in PBR Canada competition. Whereas CPRA we're down to 689. So if you had another 50,000, that's at $740. So about $250,000 more, which is what Tet's won on the year. But if you count some of them together here, if you count Tet's CPRA money, not including his U.S. money, he won $263 just in Canada.
And how many CPRA rodeos do you think he's hitting all
He
year?
only went to 9.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then he went to 34 PBR Canada events. But how about this? This is really wild. I didn't notice this till just tonight, but Nick Tetz and Cody Coverchuk finished 1 and 2 in the Canadian standings. They both rode the exact same amount of bulls. They both rode 31 of 61 bulls, or 34.
Ooh.
They both rode 34. Their riding percentage is the exact same at 55.74, except Nick won another $150,000. He rode the right ones.
Right. Yeah. He
Yeah, he rode when he had
stay
to.
on.
Right? Which is wild. But so adding those two together, so for the combining both standings, the top money earner on the year is obviously Tetz at 263, but Dakota Butter moves all the way up to second with 92.5. So he won 40,000 in PBR Canada competition and another 52 in the rodeo side of things. So won 92 grand. Chloe Robbins was fourth in PBR Canada, won 48,000 and picked up another 35, almost 36,000 in the rodeo. So he had 84,000. And I think Jake Gardner, though, if you include his PRCA money like we talked about, he'd be close to about 150. So he'd be about number 2 on the list if you count his U.S. earnings. Because
he had a good year.
Butter, Coverchuk, or Coy would have had the U.S. winnings. So, but getting to the top 6, 7, 8, Ashton Solly had a good year in both, was 5th in PBR Canada, had a great finals the first night, got hurt after a while, though, unfortunately. Won a round of the CFR, he won about 30,000 there. So he's 6th on the list, 75,000 on the year, almost 76,000. Jared Parsonage missed both finals. He won 71,000, almost 72. Before that, Canadian champion on the rodeo side, William Barrows, that's at 67. Did not make the PBR Canada finals, ended up in about 34th place on the year.
What did he go into the CFR with for money won?
Ooh, like not very much. Kyle Brown was crying hole at 13th at 16,000. No, Kyle didn't stay on. So he had less than 16.8.
He got in because Parsnips didn't come.
Yeah, so he was below Kyle. Kyle didn't win any money at the CFR. So Barrows had less than 16.8. So he won a shitload in Red Deer or in Edmonton.
No kidding. Nick
anyways,
Tetz
yeah,
is number 2
interesting.
rider right now in the past 45 days for riding percentage. He's 80%.
Who is Barrows?
No, Tetz. Nick Tetz right now.
He wrote a shitload. But if you go to like the top 10 for PBR, like PBR and CPRA, the top 10 made 95,000 each on average, and they won 956,000 combined. So the top 10 guys won almost like half the money. If you count the 973 plus 750, 1.65. These guys won they won the top third of it anyways. So interesting. I thought the numbers were kind of wild though. I wanted to break it down a little bit.
Well, I was looking at if Cody Coverchuk goes to 33 events. Is that what that number is?
Yeah,
there?
33 PBR Canada events.
Right. And still comes out of 91,000.
It's pretty good. What is that?
When Butter Butter has to go to
30 rodeos as well.
Yeah, 30 rodeos as well, plus 28 events, and gets
$1,000 more. That's
Wow.
a way to look at it too. Dang. So Coverchuk, like if you're thinking about per capita, although I wonder how many bulls he got on, because if you think Butter got on 47 and 23 is 60, so that's the minimum amount of bulls he would have gone on is 60 to make the same amount of money. I guess, but it's 5. He went to 20. How many?
Says he
26.
said he was 34 for 61 this year.
Coverchuk was, yeah, as was Tetz. But we're saying like Butter had to do a lot more work for the same amount of money.
Oh yeah. Butter
and make a lot more
on,
miles.
For sure.
Butter probably got on what, like 80 bulls? 20 more?
Well,
80?
Yeah,
100
47
bulls?
plus at least another 35 probably.
So
35 and 47, that's a lot of bull riding. Yeah, interesting. So if we're talking efficiency, definitely Tet's number 1. Probably number 2 would be Coverchuk. And
And now that still ain't
that Callum Miller. Probably.
That's still not Nick Tetz and PBR US money too.
I don't even know what he won down there. I don't even know. Anyways, check out the numbers. I thought it was kind of interesting. But I bet you next year, I think it might be a goal now that they're this close. The PBR Canada will pay $1 million next year.
Oh, 100%.
I think that'll happen. So watch out, folks. Stay tuned. And I hope to see you all at the finals in Edmonton and Rogers Place. See you at the next season's events.
We're adding some new, bigger things next year.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna do some fun stuff at the Ty Posbon Finals banquet before the event. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, we're stepping it up a notch. We're just kind of adding every year more and more and more.
It's gonna be grand. And I mentioned that
we got Foley now.
To be the first $1 million season in PBR Canada history. Which I think the CPRA used to pay almost that much, but I forget. I think they've gone backwards. But
the CPRA?
We don't even count Calgary either, which I forgot to think about there. But Calgary's like another probably 200,000, 250 per event, isn't it? If you got 50,000 for the winner and all plus all the round money, doesn't even count. But anyways, PBR Canada really stepping things up.
Love it.
Big fan. Foley, anything else to add here?
No, man. If you go to the finals next year, that's unbelievable.
I'm seeing event.
You ain't seeing anything like that in Canada.
I know. Lloyd PBR is a party coming up on the 23rd, but
yeah,
Edmonton might top it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to Dustin too. He'll be at the Bull Riders Canada Finals in Sylvan Lake this weekend as well.
Nice.
So Dustin will be there. He's the producer.
I'll see him there.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next time.
Cool.
Thanks for joining.
See you in Lloyd, brother.
See you in Lloyd.